A logical fallacy is an argument that is based on faulty reasoning. There are arguments that can come in many forms, and with destructive power, they can take away the validity of an entire argument. At first glance, these arguments can appear to be illegitimate, but they violate the rules or interference. They make matters even more confusing than these arguments do have an element. Rules interference to make matters confusing arguments the element of truth. They can root in emotion, misunderstanding, or bias. However, they are also not always driven by the need to manipulate or deceive. In this presentation, I will be presenting two types of illogical fallacies. The two chosen fallacies, because they are both commonly used as distractions, they use them to debate or argument that is designed to distract the speaker from the true issue by giving the other speaker something to focus on, such as emotion. The red herring fallacy consists of moving attention from the real issue at hand by focusing instead of something on only the surface relevance to be first. In most examples given, the fallacies they are played out in an argument by two people. They take, for example, a conversation between a mother and daughter. Daughter, my feelings are so hurt that my mom broke up with me. Mom. Mother, just think of the children who don't have food in Africa. Your problems will look pretty insignificant then. When you examine the argument, the real issue at hand is how the daughter feels about having broken up with her boyfriend. Since the daughter uses the word hurt and easy to deprive what she is expressing pain, the mother's mind tells her to think of the children starving in Africa. When she does this, she is still focusing on pain. However, she is not focusing on the pain of her daughter and with the argument she made. She diverted the attention of her daughter to argument that she made. She diverted the attention of her daughter to someone else's pain, which is only hinted at the surface of what her daughter was speaking of. This will make her mother's argument a logical fallacy. Now, if you recall, I did explain earlier that a logical fallacy can have an element of truth to it. When her mother tacked on her statement, her problems were pretty insignificant then. This is where the truth for her statement lies. There are many who know about the starving children in Africa through commercials and ads, but sometimes seen on television on social media. The second half of the mother's statement gave way to her argument because it made the daughter's pain seem irrelevant to the larger issue her mother spoke of. So if you clearly think about the argument the mother made, she's basically telling her daughter that if the world were to choose to take part in healing the pain in one of these situations, it would not be pretty where one girl got her heart broken. The world will care more about the children since there are many over the one being the daughter. As another example, you can take the argument of someone who was pulled over by the police or running a stop sign. Why are pulling me over or the running stop sign? Don't you have a real criminal sin you could be going after? Because someone could be being murdered right now as we speak. As a close examination of this argument, the reason behind it is listed in the first question, that is the stop sign. Well, the next question is where the person who's pulled over begins to distract the officer, pulling attention away from the issue of the running to stop the sign and try to focus on officers' attention on criminals. The next question stays relevant to the list because it speaks of criminals, which are people who commit a crime or running to stop sign, and it is a crime that committed. However, the person who pulled over adds a fact in third question to make their argument more valid by bringing up a criminal that frequently happens is more important than simply running a stop sign. The person being pulled over is kept their argument on the surface by mentioning others to break the law, but break one that is worse. There are ways to handle this type of fallacy when it's delivered. The Lord does no let using them to overlook, because using them is a way of speaking lies. For example, Proverbs 10:9, whoever walks integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths to find out fallacy speaking the lie is known because the person cannot walk securely. to the lie that someone has correct path, and this is found to make known. Whether this is by yourself or someone else, the other logical fallacy chosen will repeal the emotion fallacy. This fallacy that will repeal emotion usually by some form of manipulation that has no regard to the acceptable argument that was previously made. Found flawed or dishonest. Let's take example of advertisement. A real estate company can show an ad on television a happy young couple with children moving into their dreams home. Now, if we examine the scenario at a glance, there appears to be nothing wrong with it. However, when we examine the emotion behind the scenario, then we start to see the flaw of it. However, it's caused you to rip apart the statement the commercial makes. It will say the idea behind the advertisement appeals to emotional happiness. It sets up the show will make young children finding a permanent home from their children. In many ways, once you start to question, the argument falls apart. How can this young couple afford their dream home already? Especially if they have children. How do they know that just because they appear happy, they are actually happy? Are the people I see in ad actually family? Is this scenario really possible? The emotion that applied to the ad because us to want what we see the perfect dream, where's the hard evidence? Another example is because the example of someone is caught stealing. I'm so sorry, officer. It's just that my family is very poor and we haven't eaten in days. If I hadn't stole this bag of chips from the store, I'm terrified we should have stars. Anyone in the position would have done the same thing. No, the person making this statement is peeling the emotion of the officer. This person is clearly admitting the steal was wrong answer. However, they try to make the officer sad or uncomfortable because they may only be seen as wrong in the eyes of the officer. It can underlies the comparison between them, and the officer replied that he would never have to go hungry like that. The importance behind the appeal is not only the slight guilt trip, but it's caused the officer to question their own belief in stealing is wrong. There is no evidence but shows support to the claim of right wrong. In the Bible, there are several verses that can be used against to help with someone uses the fallacy. In conclusion, a logical fallacy is just an argument based on faulty reasoning.